Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Art of Being a Woman. I'm your host, Courtney, and this week's episode is about the art of destroying the victim mentality. We have a few steps that we're going to get into, four to be exact, and they are going to be pulled from my Instagram account, She is Artfully Woman, where I post a lot of the topics we discuss on this podcast in written format. And if you are interested in that, go check it out. I would love to have you on Instagram as well. Now, the four steps we're going to get into are as follows. We have unmask the illusion of powerlessness. Step 2, we have stop reliving the same painful story. Step 3, we have embrace the freedom of responsibility. And step 4, we have accept the role of creator in your life. Although I am always excited to discuss every single topic on this platform, I am definitely feeling a bit hesitant about discussing this topic because it's a sensitive one. I feel that in many parts of our lives, we take control and we take responsibility for our actions and where we are in life. And there are other areas in our life where we might feel that everything is out of our control and there's nothing that we can do to improve on a situation. And so I really want to get into this topic so that we can sort of get out of our own way and make better decisions and choices, which begin with our mentality and the way that we think about ourselves. For example, for me, I feel with career, I don't feel like a victim in my career. I have had opportunities to pursue different paths and I knew what I wanted and I went after certain things and I don't really allow myself to fall back in that area of life. Granted, in relationships, I will be honest and say that for quite some time, I haven't had the best of luck. And I really just surrendered to the idea that it's not in my control. And the reason why I don't have luck is because it's just not meant for me right now. And that could be true. And I do accept that as the truth. But also, there's things that I could be doing to improve on my situation if I want to. If I want a long lasting relationship, there are things that can be done so that I don't just sit back and sort of blame it on the fact that divine timing just doesn't have it in store for me. I have definitely surrendered and not really put in the effort to really change my circumstances and go after what it is that I want. I understand that there's a lot of talk about how women should be approaching relationships and dating nowadays, and there's people that say a woman should lay back and not really pursue anything or anyone, and the man will come to her. And I understand that. I agree with that to a certain extent, but I don't feel that it is the right thing for me to do to just lounge around and not really work on myself in that area of life. I feel I need to improve on my character, improve on the type of woman that I want to be in a relationship, how I want to treat a partner. And so that's something I really had to come to terms with. And it can be hard. It can be hard to really look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself why things might not be working out for you. It can be hard to accept that maybe we are getting in our own way and that if we change something about ourselves internally, our reality can change as well. So we're going to talk about it and we're going to unpack it together. And I hope that at the end of this episode, you feel more powerful because I don't believe that there's any area in your life that you can't influence for the better. So let's begin. Step 1, we have unmask the illusion of powerlessness. A lot of times we can feel that life is happening to us, whether someone breaks up with us or we lose a job or something can happen to us that's coming from something outside of us, whether we get rejected, we don't get an opportunity that we wanted, and we can feel like, wow, why me? I wanted it bad enough. I've worked hard for it, and we can get stuck in this cycle of pity. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel anger, and it's okay to feel frustration. But to feel pity for yourself doesn't really do us any good in the long run. And that's something that I didn't realize growing up. It's only something I understood recently because what self pity does is it allows us to surrender all power, all control, and not pivot. It prevents us from reflection and it prevents us from getting to the root of our emotions. Why do we feel sad? Why do we feel angry? Why do we feel frustration? whenever something happens to us that triggers this desire to feel powerless and feel self pity, it's a sign that we need to go inwards and we need to discover why we're feeling a sense of lack in our lives for something not going the way that we intended it to go. It's important that whenever we have a situation in our life that has us feeling powerless, go within. Whether you need to journal and meditate, I like to do both, or maybe one or the other, depending on my mood and the amount of time that I have, because I understand we can be rejected from a job and we have another errand to run 10 minutes right after that. And so, what do you do with those feelings of frustration and anger? It's hard, but it's not impossible. So, whenever you feel this powerlessness in your life and life feels out of your control and you feel like the world is working against you, really pause and go within, because that is the gift of experiencing anger, sadness, and frustration. The gift is to turn to ourselves because we truly have all the answers within us. So, for example, let's say we have a dream job in mind and we apply and we don't get accepted. Now, instantly, we feel lack, we feel sad, we feel angry. How could this happen? We wanted it so bad. We prayed about it. We sent in the best resume. We appeared at the interview on time. We had a great interview. We really connected with the employees, and it just makes no sense. Why would they pick someone else over us? Why wouldn't it work out? And instead of feeling like life is not fair and that we're being punished, we have to work on flipping our perspective and releasing the need to understand the why all the time. Because in the moment, we don't know why. We don't know why we didn't get the job. We don't know why it didn't work out. And that doesn't mean it's because we did something wrong. It doesn't mean that we butchered the interview. It doesn't mean that they didn't like us. It doesn't mean that we weren't ready. It just means that it wasn't meant for us. And in my opinion, what I start to train myself to do is if it's not this, it's something better. And I don't really have to understand what that better is right now. I just have to really anchor myself in that trust that this was not good enough for me and that there's more out there. And that can be a challenge because we can be so attached to what we think is best for us and what's right for us. But the truth is, we don't know everything. With this example of applying to our dream job, we don't know the work culture. We don't know if it's a healthy work environment. We don't know if someone is going to call us in 2 weeks from now and offer us a better job with a better pay and a better work environment. And so instead of us falling into the trap of pity and powerlessness, we need to allow these uncomfortable situations to sort of build our trust that things ultimately always work out for us. And they really do. They really do. If you think back in your life, go back 5 years. You can even go back 1 year and think about when you wanted something so badly and it didn't even work out. I bet you don't even really remember what didn't work out for you 5 years ago, because ultimately where you are right now is good enough. And not just good enough, it's exactly where you need to be. You probably wouldn't have changed anything if you could go back 5 years. And if for whatever reason you're listening to this and you're thinking to yourself, no, actually, I do wish things went differently 5 years ago, then I advise you to listen to my other episode, The Art of Embracing Your Past, because there is nothing that we have experienced that wasn't meant for us to grow and to expand our own mind. One thing that I like to do to help unmask this illusion is I will focus on one area of my life where I feel stuck, and I'll list 3 things that I can control about the situation. And whichever one out of the 3 that seem the most doable, I'll start there. And so let's say with the job opportunity that we didn't get, 3 things that are within our control. We can apply to new jobs. We can pause and reflect on why we are so frustrated that we didn't get this job. Why do we think that if we don't get this job, we won't be happy? And 3, we can pour more into the current job that we have. Perhaps in that scenario, we already have a job that we're just not happy with, and we really want to switch our career and we want to work somewhere else. But for some reason, you're stuck in this job and no one else is hiring you. Perhaps there is more work to be done in the current job you have. And so that's just an example. There are other areas in life where you might feel this powerlessness. And I promise you, in every scenario, there are three things within our control that we can do, even if it's internal, even if it's meditating on what's upsetting us, even if it's coming to terms with the idea that we are placing our happiness on something outside of ourselves. And lastly, it can just be acceptance. That can be something that is within your control that you work on. Work on accepting reality for what it is and do the most you can with what you're given. Just because one area of our lives is not working out the way that we want it to, doesn't mean everything else is falling apart. Usually, in everyone's life, there's always something not working out. Whether you have the dream relationship, you have the dream career, but then let's say you're struggling to have children, or someone that has the best career, they have a great group of friends, they travel to luxurious places, but they have a hard time finding a relationship. So don't ever feel alone in the fact that you feel powerless in a certain area of your life. That's usually always how life tends to play out. And I believe that it plays out that way for a reason, so that we can develop this inner resilience and this inner trust that everything works out for us. Because if we really had everything going well for us in every area of our lives, we wouldn't really feel the need to become better people. And that's a hard pill to swallow, but it's true. And so hopefully this step really inspires you to just be grateful for what you have. And I know it's annoying to hear that when things are not going our way. Like, why do we have to be grateful? Why can't we just want more? We could want more. But at the same time, we have to be grateful for where we are in the present moment while we're desiring more. Imagine you have a child and your child asks for a bowl of ice cream and you give the child one scoop of ice cream. Okay, the child doesn't even say thank you and automatically says, I want more. I want another scoop. And you're thinking, okay, I guess they can have two scoops. You give them a second scoop. They're not satisfied. I want another scoop. And then you might think to yourself, okay, hold up. You didn't even have to have one scoop. I just gave you a second one because you were unhappy, but now you don't even appreciate the first and the second scoop. So why would I give you the third one? No, right? You would tell that child, you have to enjoy the two scoops that you have, and maybe after you're done, and after you appreciate what you have, I'll give you a third one. But if you're not even going to enjoy what you have because I didn't give you more and everything that you wanted, then I can't really give you the third one because you're not going to appreciate that either. And so I hope that analogy helps explain the reason why we should be grateful even when things are not going our way. Because when we reflect out to the universe gratitude, it makes the universe want things to play out in our favor more and more. Step 2, stop reliving the same painful story. You know, it's funny how every time there's a situation that plays out and someone tells their point of view, we all know there's three parts to every story. There's our part of the story, there's the other person's part of the story, and then there's the truth. And so when we feel like things are not going our way, we have to work on telling the story to ourselves and to other people objectively. Because if we start distorting what happened with our emotions, it creates this distorted reality within our heads. So, for example, with the job interview that didn't work out in our favor, if we tell ourselves, wow, nothing goes my way. That's the one thing I wanted from life and I didn't even get it. I hate my job. I hate my life, so on and so forth. All the things that we say to ourselves when things don't go right. Maybe I wasn't good enough. I always mess up every interview. Whenever we get stuck on a loop with these negative patterns and this negative self talk, it attracts more of that same thing. You're going to start feeling more and more like this is your reality. And even more so if you go to other people and you start telling them these things. Oh, I didn't get the job. You know how it goes. It never works out. I just have bad luck with this. It's creating a stronger negative force in your own life. And of course, there's no tangible proof of this, but think about moments in your own life where you might have some negative self talk going on, whether you think, my hair is always a mess, or I have such a hard time losing weight, whatever it is. Those things that you say often tend to become your reality, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so we have to be really careful with what we're telling ourselves internally. Yes, the things that we're saying in our mind, it doesn't even matter if you say it out loud. If you feel this way inside in your inner dialogue, is distorted, it will affect your energy when you're outside and around other people. Do you ever come across people where they don't have to say a word, but you just know they're sad, or you just know that they have low self esteem? And this is not in a negative way, and this is not in a judgmental way, but you just feel it. You feel that they need some extra love, they need a compliment, and that's fine. Everyone's entitled to act and feel the way that they want to feel. We have free choice. But if you don't want that for yourself, you need to start by changing that inner dialogue you have with yourself and change that story that is stuck on replay in your head and with your close friends, family, and whoever. And I promise you that when you do that, your external reality will reflect that change in your mindset. And one way that I like to work on this is by picking a specific memory or thought that keeps resurfacing and keeps triggering this negative pattern within me. Whether it's a random memory of one time that I made a mistake in front of a bunch of people that I was trying to impress, whether it was at work, whether it was a boss. And I would replay this memory and be like, wow, like, if only I just didn't do that, or whatever the case may be. When I replay that memory over and over again, what it's sort of ingraining in my mind is that I need their validation to feel confident, to feel good enough. And if I keep replaying this memory and I keep feeling like I failed and that I messed up, that's how I'm going to feel whenever I'm around those people. I'm going to feel like I might mess up in front of you again. And do you even respect me? Do you think I'm good enough because I made that mistake once upon a time? And the truth is, nobody remembers the details of the things that we did 5 months ago, 1 month ago, a day ago. We all live our own lives and we're mostly thinking about ourselves 24/7. And so that's a good way to really start clearing out the negativity that we keep within our minds about ourselves, and you will notice the shift. Now, step 3, we have embrace the freedom of responsibility. When I was younger, I had a very love-hate relationship with responsibility. I am the oldest child and I'm also the oldest daughter. And so there's a lot of things on the internet about the oldest daughter and how she tends to be very responsible for the people in the home and she grows up very young. And I didn't like that growing up. I wanted to be a kid. I didn't want to have a lot of responsibilities, and I really didn't see the value of my position in the family at the time. Now, as I got older and I became an adult, adulting was very easy for me. I've always had to juggle multiple things my whole life, whether it was a job, home duties, and just juggling family life, friend life, school life. That was always my life. And so when I was an adult, it was a breeze. And so now that I'm older, I really love that I have experience with responsibility. But when it comes to parts of our life that we feel powerless, it can be really hard for us to come to terms with the idea that we have responsibility over those areas of life as well. So, back to the example with the career. If we didn't get the job, it is our responsibility to do something about it. And no, that doesn't mean call the place that declined you and convince them to give you the job. No, but it's our responsibility to go within, to reflect, to figure out why we might not have gotten the job and do something better going forward. Whether that means we can apply to more than one job, we can work on not placing our happiness in our career. We can focus on the other areas in our life that are going well and pour more of our energy and our love into that. We can learn to accept when things don't immediately go our way. And that is not easy, but it really builds a lot of inner strength. And that is something that we all need. We all want to have that strong foundation within because life is always going to test us and things are always going to happen and challenge our faith and challenge us to see if we're grateful for what we already have in life. And so when things don't go our way, it's an opportunity to reclaim responsibility of those areas of our life and reclaim responsibility of the other areas of our life. Don't get stuck focusing on the one thing that's not going right for you. Focus on your life as a whole, because if you nurture many parts of yourself, one thing not going your way shouldn't really bring you down completely. And one way that I like to work on embracing the freedom of responsibility is I'll take one situation that I've been blaming on someone else or something else, such as, oh, I didn't get the job because I got on the train late and I got to the meeting 5 minutes late, and that made me look so bad. So if only I didn't get on the train late, then I would have gotten the job. That doesn't do anything for us. That just separates us more and more from the reality of the situation. And instead, I'll decide on a single action that I can take to start changing the scenario myself. And I know this is easier said than done, but I promise you, the more you work on these things that are difficult, the easier they'll become. For example, I love using the gym as an analogy because it really applies to so many parts of life. The first time you go to the gym, it's going to be really hard. You're probably not going to want to go again because you're so sore and it was difficult. You just maybe felt like a failure at everything you were doing. But over time, it becomes like breathing. And you're going to seek the challenges because you know these challenges is what makes you stronger. And so, in terms of the whole destroying the victim mentality, I want you to look at this concept as a challenge. And it's not going to be easy in the beginning if you feel that you've fallen into the victim mentality mode for quite some time. But I promise you, each step you take to remove that from your mindset, the easier it will become. And soon you will not even fall into the trap of being in a victim mentality. Now, we have the last step: accept the role of creator in your life. This is my favorite step of this whole topic because it's fun and it reminds you that the power is in your hands. A lot of times we can resist the idea that we truly create the life that we have. And to use the job example, we might think, how can we possibly be the creator of our own life if we didn't get the job that we wanted? Well, personally, what I like to do, if something doesn't go my way, I will definitely be upset about it instantly. But then I'll try to pivot and shift my mindset by telling myself, okay, how could this be exactly what I want? And I'll think to myself, there's a better job out there for me. I just haven't found it yet. And if I would have gotten accepted to the job that I thought I wanted, it would have taken me away from what I was truly meant to do. And that can be hard to accept in the moment when you're super upset, but try to get yourself there as soon as possible so that you don't fall into the victim mentality trap. Anytime we get rejected or we feel a sense of lack, allow it to be this blank canvas in that area of life. It's a new beginning. Plant a seed. Start to really think about how you want this area of your life to unfold and to look like. And once you start to come up with a plan on what you truly want, you can take micro steps to move in that direction. So, back to our example for applying to a job that we did not get accepted to, we can tweak our resume, we can update our LinkedIn profile, we can start looking for other jobs that maybe we overlooked because we were so set on one specific job because we thought that was the best choice. And who knows? The thing is, life is really funny because we can be rejected one day and then we can get a call a week from now and that same job says, actually, we still need to fill in this slot. So if you're still willing to work with us, we would love to have you. Life works out in unexpected ways all the time. I say this to say, always aim to be proactive versus reactive. If we allow ourselves to sit in our anger, in our frustration, in our sadness, and stay stuck in it, it's going to be harder for life to work out in our best interest because life is a mirror. It's going to reflect exactly how we feel internally. And so let's try to be more proactive and make the most out of whatever life is throwing our way so that when things do shift and change unexpectedly, we are already assuming and preparing for everything to unfold perfectly. And you will see that if you work on strengthening that mindset that everything is truly working out for my best interest, whether I see it now, whether I have proof, it will. Take any frustration in your life that you're going through right now and find one way to make it an opportunity for yourself. If you get rejected from a job that you really wanted, start looking for jobs that are closer to your home. Perhaps that job that you wanted was 30 minutes away. So maybe there's a job that's closer to your house, and then that can work out even better for you. And that's just one example. But I'm sure in any area of your life where you're feeling frustrated, there's something that you can do to make it work out for you a little bit. And the more that we do that, the more that we find the silver lining in these frustrating situations, the easier they will be to find. I hope this episode really helped you come to terms with the victim mentality. This can really help with any area of our lives where we're feeling lack, even for a few moments. And it's good to feel sad. It's good to feel angry. It's good to feel frustrated because it gives you the opportunity to reflect and to grow. And when we reflect and we grow, we expand our mindset, and that makes us more open to receive the beautiful miracles and blessings that life has to offer us. I hope you have a great week. I love you all. Until next time, bye for now.